Today's video, I'm just gonna give you my ranking of all the 11 teams that performed in the Australian Grand Prix. This is gonna be a very short video, short and sweet. So if you enjoy this type of content, and let me know what's your list look like at the end of this video. But yeah, this is my honestly review based on team performance alone, not driver's performance. What do I think? Where do I put? Let's start with the Cadillacs. I don't know. I think Cadillacs, they were a bit poor. I think there was nothing outstanding that we saw from Cadillacs. Obviously, one of the cars didn't had to retire. Sergio Perez finished the race 2 laps behind the race leader. But overall, in terms of qualifying and race performance, I don't think we saw anything major from the Cadillacs. But I think that is also expected. I mean, this is the first year in Formula One, and the expectations are not extremely high. In fact, I think a conservative expectations is what is expected from the Cadillac team itself, and they said that multiple times. They will not be fighting for championships or construction championships, but yeah, I think overall they were poor. Ferraris, I think they did amazing. I think they had issues with the qualifying on Saturday. Both drivers reporting issues in Q1, Q2, and Q3. There was something wrong with the setup that they were not able to maximize the data to go into Q3. But obviously on the race weekend on Sunday, they were able to put out an amazing performance for the fans. The overtaking aspects, obviously that's debatable. Whatever is entertaining. Yes, I agree with that, but is that based on skill? I don't think it's based on skill. Obviously, the regulations are making, they were deliberately done with this in mind, with the intentions of allowing overtaking to be done multiple races throughout the week. But in terms of skill, I'm not so sure if the fans will agree with that. But yeah, I think except the pit lane, they could have pitted both cars under the virtual safety car, but they chose not to. I think that that's also another conversation that is being debated online, whether the Ferraris got that right or wrong. Yes, I personally think they got it wrong, but outside of that, seeing the Ferraris being able to compete with the likes of Mercedes in the first 10 laps or so was great. It was nice to see. But yeah, overall, I think they did amazing. The McLarens, I think they possibly the team that disappointed me the most. Obviously, being a McLaren supporter and them being constructions world champions and world champions as well. Obviously, qualifying wasn't great for them. And having Oscar Piastri not being able to run on his home ground, I think that was very disappointed from him as well. Whatever was a driver's mistake or the justification that he gave at the end, we don't know. But obviously these cars, they just feel different overall, and the drivers will need to adapt. Norris managed to defend Max on the last 20 laps or so at the end of the race, securing solid 10 points for McLaren. But because they have the world champion under their belt and on their team, I mean, I don't think they did well. I think they were really poor performance, and being over 50 seconds behind the race leader when the checkered flag was waved. I mean, this is definitely not in the position that the McLarens want to be in. But yeah, overall, I think poor performance from the McLarens. Audi, I think Audi did okay. I think they were not amazing. They were not poor. If they were not overall poor, obviously there was things to be worked on. They had the reliability issues through qualifying and on the race day. Obviously, Bortoleto was able to qualify into Q3, but there was a reliability issues that prevented him from competing or being able to put a lap in Q3. Obviously, he could have maybe gained a few places if he was able to compete in Q3 and not stay in P10. And then race day, Hulkenberg couldn't race. He was disqualified. Not disqualified, but DNS. And yeah, overall, Audi was able to collect the first points in the Formula One season. I think that is a major milestone. So I can honestly think put them there, and I think they did okay. Moving on to the supreme leaders of Formula One, Mercedes. I mean, anyone who watched the qualifying, free practice and the race, you witness completely dominance, and they've put out a statement to the rest of the team, to the rest of the grid. We're here to stay. We're here to dominate, and we command some respect at this stage. I think that was the message from the Mercedes team. And I honestly believe that the qualifying that they put out was done with minimum effort. I don't even think they were trying their hardest. The fact that Kimi Antonelli was able to match George Russell's pace, and they locked the front row, finishing P1, P2 on the race, completely dominance. As expected. If there's any clouds of doubts, whoever's going to dominate this year's season, I mean, I think those doubts have evaporated. I think it's the only team that showed supreme performance throughout the entire week, in my opinion. The Red Bulls, I don't know what to make of the Red Bulls. I think they did okay. Honestly, the reason why I would say they did okay is they could have done better. We know that. Also, for the likes of McLaren's, they could have done better. But that's not what is at stake here. It's basically they did okay because, number one, it's their first time running the Red Bull Part Change engine this year. Obviously, they had a lot of reliability issues during qualifying and the racing. Obviously, Isaac Hajar having to retire is not ideal, and the dude doesn't seem to have a lot of luck around Australia. Last season was the same thing. On an outlap, he crashed, and he had an amazing start, but obviously he had to retire the car. And if you consider that they have a lot of reliability issues, but the Racing Bulls didn't throughout the entire week, it's quite interesting contrast. But yeah, Max obviously put out a show, as always, from P20 to P6. I think that was the highlight of the Red Bulls, and I honestly think they did okay. They've managed to secure some points for the Red Bulls. But yeah, there's more work to do. Nothing amazing, nothing spectacular from them at this stage, except the driver. But I'm not ranking the drivers. I'm ranking the team as overall. And yeah, I think they did okay. I think the Williams, for me, was the team that disappointed me the most. Being a Mercedes customer, having the same power unit as them, obviously just because you have the same power unit doesn't guarantee competitive parity. And that's something that all the other Mercedes customers need to understand. Equal power unity doesn't guarantee you competitiveness on the grid. And Williams basically had nothing to show up for. I mean, completely outside of the points. Qualifying pace. I don't even remember the qualifying, but I think both drivers didn't make it into Q3. I didn't see anything amazing from the Williams. Did they retire any of their cars? No, I don't think. They finished P12 and P15 respectively. But yeah, obviously both cars being outlapped. I don't know what else to say. I honestly can't make a good argument to put Williams above that row. But moving on to the Alpine. Alpine. Initially, I thought they did poor, but the more I look at it, I don't know. This one is actually the most difficult one for me. Obviously, Pierre Gasly collected a point. Again, he's always Pierre Gasly collecting points for Alpine. Franco Colapinto had an amazing display of reaction. He avoided a collision. That was really interesting to see from Colapinto. But yeah, Colapinto, his car got lapped twice. Pierre Gasly only once. I don't know. Were they disaster? Were they poor? I don't know. I guess I'm just being biased here because I've never really been a fan of the livery of Alpines. Yeah, I didn't see much coming from Pierre Gasly either throughout the entire race. Maybe I need to go in and watch the highlights. But honestly, my honestly opinion about it, I just think they could have done more, considering that they had more time than any other team to develop the car for this season. I think they could have done better. I think the performance could have been slightly better. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put them there and leave them there. Racing Bulls. I don't know. Okay, I think seems reasonable. Obviously, Lindblad securing his first points for the Racing Bulls as well as outperforming his teammate. He had an interesting fight with some of the likes of Max and Lando Norris. Very briefly, but he was up there fighting with them. What else? No reliability issues for them. They were able to get both cars to the end of the race. Obviously, both of them being lapped again by the likes of the Mercedes and the Ferraris. But overall, I think they did okay. No nasty surprises here. The Haas, yeah, I'm starting to fall in love with the Haas. The more I look at the car, the more I'm starting to like the car, and especially Oliver Behrman surprised me the most doing Bahrain in preseason testing. I saw really interesting, cool stuff coming from the Haas, and especially from Oliver Behrman. He obviously finished the race in P7, collected some decent points for the Haas team. One of the cars, obviously, both cars being lapped, just a single lap as usual. This is no surprises here. Like I said, half of the grid was lapped by the Ferraris and the Mercedes. That's how ridiculous the disparity is between the top two or the top four versus the mid grid. But yeah, I honestly would like to put Haas slightly above, but I think they did okay. I don't know, for a midfield team. I don't know, guys. I think they did okay. I think they did okay. Collected some solid points. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to leave them there. Last but not least, obviously the likes of Aston Martin. I think Aston Martin, they did poor. They were not completely a disaster. The reason why I don't say they were a disaster is because anyone who's been watching preseason testing and qualifying, and what is been happening with the situation with the Honda power unit, I think it's important that we put it into perspective and understand where Aston Martin is coming from. And it wasn't expected for Aston Martin to complete more than 25 laps. That was the minimum that they were expecting. And the fact that they were able to complete 43 laps, if I'm not mistaken, if I get my maths right, they were able to get one of the cars to complete that many laps. Obviously, there were 15 laps behind the race leader at the end of the race. Fernando Alonso had to retire. No nasty surprises there. I was actually expecting both cars to retire, to have a DNF. But I think they did poor. I think they a lot of people were expecting them to do way worse than they did. So obviously it was a poor performance. You never want to be 15 laps behind the race leader when the race finished. That is just like you're not racing. As Stroll said, we are not racing, we are circulating around the lap, which is the precise language that you need to use there. But yeah, I think it was poor from an Aston Martin, from a dimension of as big as Aston Martin, who have invested it heavily into Formula One in the last 2 years or so. I think that is a poor performance for their standards, but I don't think they were the worst team on the race weekend. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. Let me know if you disagree with the list, or at least share what your list looks like. Until the next video, take care.